Who taught you to hate the color of your skin? Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you?
Most of us blacks, or Negroes as he called us, really thought we were free without being aware that in our subconscious, all those chains we thought had been struck off were still there. And there were many ways where what really motivated us was our desire to be loved by the white man. Malcolm meant to lance that sense of inferiority. He knew it would be painful. He knew that people could kill you because of it, but he dared to take that risk.
He was saying something over and above that of any other leader of that day. While the other leaders were begging for entry into the house of their oppressor, he was telling you, build your own house.
Welcome to the Gilchrist experience. I play that old Malcolm piece because we're back at that stage right here now. And 21, 24, 21, oh wow, I'm shooting.
2024.
2024.
2024.
Oh. The Willie Lynch syndrome comes to mind when I see that piece. And it's difficult to even talk about this, really. I'm still in shock. I'm disappointed that God didn't come through and save our republic or democracy, or that Kamala didn't. I truly believe that that righteousness would prevail.
Well, it's natural to react to pain. We all got a slap on the back of the head, a very serious, painful slap. And there are some people who think it's a one and done, and okay, things will be better now. But there are some of us who know that we may have some trouble getting up, and those slaps are going to keep on coming. You know, the headlines of the last few days, the appointments, the nominations, we have to be aware some of those slaps are going to keep coming at us. And we also have to prepare our children who may not have had the experience of knowing how to get up after you've been knocked down thrice, 4 times, 5 times.
Yeah.
We have to prepare our children for that. Don't think the 5th grade is going to be any easier than 4th grade. You know, and that's part of our challenge as the old folk.
I agree with Owen, and you know, this is a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call to the whole party. It's a wake-up call to Black America as well as Brown America, mixing the two. They have diverse views, diverse sentiments, diverse opinions, and we're not just lumping them together all in one place and say, you know, this is what we're going to do for you. And sadly, the worst guy got the job. He got the job. When we were growing up, they said, you know, do the right thing, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, and you could be president. Now you could say you can lie, cheat, steal, and do all sorts of horrific things, and you could be president as well. So it's very scary, but us as a people, as always, we shall overcome. And this is a wake-up call to get our priorities in order. Maybe, you know, we needed this slap in the face, so to speak, to keep it moving. America wasn't ready for a female president, and they weren't ready for a Black female president.
How do you tell the children, don't be the cheater, the stealer, the thief, When they look, Daddy, look what's on TV. Look at that.
I could be president and not do all of these things.
How do we teach our children morality when immorality is in large headlines being rewarded in front of us? That's a challenge for us, our ministers, and
Yeah.
certainly when we talk to younger people. If we want to give them some sense of morality, it is difficult to find those examples in prominent places these days.
But, you know, see, I was thoroughly convinced that America wouldn't let, I mean, Graham
were
and I
deluded.
argue all the time
We were
about
deluded.
how stupid Americans can be. But I said to myself, now, this man is obviously a thief, a liar, and there's nothing
Convicted.
sane about him. He's crazy. Now, America won't let this happen.
That's
How
what we
could it
hoped and thought.
possibly vote for a man like this?
America won't
Well, I
let
come
this
to
happen.
find out that America is all right with this as long as they're making money.
And he played to their
That's
fears.
any color.
Well, let me let you guys know. Let's go some history, right? Reverend Sharpton always talks about history and
Right.
the history of just Trumpism, right? We grew up watching Trump. Then he get this opportunity to be on The Apprentice, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, and that was over 15, almost 20 years on that show.
Yeah.
So at the same time, they almost running simultaneously the filth in our community, which is called the Love and Hip Hops. Miami, New York, California, all of these, Atlanta, all of these places,
Yeah.
all year round. The Basketball Wives, the shows that showing our people speak a certain way, aggressive, negatively, and then engage each other in violent behavior,
Yeah.
negatively, and all of these negative things that we're letting to be acceptable. You know, I have a younger cousin who was the same age as my daughter, watching these things religiously. And you can see it in the outcome of the way they react to things and how they conduct themselves. So all of that was laying the groundwork for what we have that would allow our people to allow a man like this in office. You know, the numbers show, I just had the numbers, I just was going over the numbers. And in the battleground states, Trump won, and again, these numbers probably need to be updated, but at the time I got this data, Trump won Wisconsin by 23,000 votes. In Milwaukee alone,
23,000?
Milwaukee's in Wisconsin, 93,000 blacks didn't vote. So we lost by 23,000, 93,000 didn't vote. Trump won Florida by 113,000 votes. In Miami alone, 379,000 blacks didn't vote.
The
370.
people who stayed home.
In Michigan, Trump won by 11,000 votes at the time, again at the data. In Detroit alone, 277,000 blacks didn't vote. In Pennsylvania, where everyone was focusing, sending all the bus trips to in the
Yeah.
last couple of weeks of the campaign, Trump won by 44,000 votes.
Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania, the whole state.
40.
In Philadelphia alone, 238,000 blacks didn't vote. And then Georgia, Trump won Georgia, 211,000 votes. In Atlanta alone, 530,000 black votes were
In
not
Atlanta?
registered. I mean, not as registered, people didn't vote. So, you know, they weren't excited about this pick, nor can I blame a lot of people for the pick. Again, I'm a staunch Democrat. I thought she should have been, of course, the clear choice if you're even judging the two side by side. However, she felt force-fed. She felt force-fed, and people, and again, with the groundwork being laid, that we talked about all of the things we spoke about, people were just not ready, and they would rather have a bigot, a racist, a fascist in office, and then have a strong, black, intelligent, beautiful woman.
We often enough have difficulty commanding audiences that we should. A program like this is something that every family should be able to see it and know when it's on, when it's going to be on cable, when can we learn something by turning on the tube. Instead, you mentioned some of the trash that has millions of our people watching it. The programs that literally help us learn how to fight and win the battle, those programs are not as well publicized or not as well supported as some of the trash programs. And we have to make sure our community knows this. There are programs out there that will teach your children that will teach some of the college-age people how they can shape the future. And it's not those take your clothes off and shake your butt programs. Those programs are not teaching our young people how to fight and win. And we have to remind them of that and remind each other of programs like this one.
And let me put it another thing. We've made a lot of strides from the time that we were kidnapped in Africa and our ancestors were brought over here. We made a lot of strides. We have a guy named 50 Cent Curtis Jackson making a whole bunch of content for us. Power, Power Book 3 and all of these things, but they all follow the same guys of murder, drugs, money, and killing, and kids disrespecting their parents, and parents being and giving kids guns and drugs to sell. And this is the images that we are being portrayed as, and this is what we're growing up. We're not having more positive dialogue, impactful dialogue, make you think. Look at Tyler Perry the same way. And again, I'm not knocking these two successful black men. We've made strides so they could be in position, but we're calling for them to have better content, better, character development in their stories and plot lines.
Exactly.
The blueprints are out there, the things they can do is out there, and we're doing ourselves a disservice. The drill rap that's out here now, this music is not enjoyable. Most of it is not. And most of it is not saying anything of consequence. The music we grew up on, even the music you guys grew up on, being strong black men against
Black
the war.
on Brown.
We grew up with originality and having hip hop be original place and space and tell the story. Now it's just, drink this lean and pop a gun, drill it, and it's just no creativity. But we have to reach them where they are. These kids are on social media. TV is fading out. Kids are watching their phones, their social iPads.
The creation.
Let Graham get a chance to talk.
Oh, Graham.
Graham.
Welcome, Graham.
Graham.
I'm listening, and you said it all. I was thinking about Tyler Perry and 50 Cent earlier today. It's not enough to have a black media outlet that's giving you garbage. They've got black people acting like flies, and flies eat garbage.
Yeah.
Tyler Perry needs to put out a decent product. 50 Cent said he was backing Trump because he had RICO charges. What kind of stupidness is that?
50 Cent say that?
He said that. Yeah. So just because somebody is successful and black doesn't mean that they're of any real value. Right? Let's forget about money. Let's look at the character of the people.
Yeah.
Now, the figures that he just gave on the numbers of black people that did not vote. We need not talk about Latinos.
Right.
We need not talk about it. What we need to talk about is the thought processing of black people and of Latinos.
Right.
People, my grandfather never voted a day in his life in this country. He never learned to read or write.
Okay.
But he wasn't stupid.
Right.
We got black people and they're stupid. He was a Negro and he had common sense. And we have lost so much in the last 50, 60 years. We're worse off now than we were in 1945. Trump just named Gates as his attorney general.
For this, Dr. King died?
Alleged pedophile.
This is going to be, my pastor says, God doesn't put stuff in your hand, he puts it within your reach.
Right.
And if you're too lazy to get up and go vote, you deserve to get kicked in your behind.
Whoa.
Well,
People have lost their lives trying to vote, trying to exercise a voice in this country. And you got black people that are too freaking lazy to get up and go vote, or they think it's not worth their time. Granted, we don't pick a president, we don't elect a president. This is not a democracy, this is a republic. The Electoral College picks the president. But you still need to be in there voting to convey to those electors your choice.
But in this
And
instance,
black people think that their only lot in life is to demonstrate. Now, I'll tell you something. When Amadou Diallo was murdered, I was in a meeting with Giuliani, Howard Safer, and First Deputy Police Commissioner Keller.
it's
the four of us are in Giuliani's office. And Giuliani said, well, we'll give them a week or two to demonstrate, and then we'll go back to things as normal. That's the attitude.
And that's
Black
Giuliani.
people only think that they should march. The days for marching are over.
No, they're not.
No,
They should
Yeah,
have
no.
marched.
you got a lot of people to convince.
Wait a minute, Graham.
Wait, let me finish my statement.
No,
Don't
Graham.
interrupt
No.
me. I didn't interrupt anybody. Don't interrupt
But
me.
I'm going to
I agree
interrupt
with
you
you
on
up to
that.
that, yeah.
I'm going to interrupt
Dave.
you on that. No, we're going to
You
have
should
a
have
march.
marched. Black people should have marched their way to the polls and voted.
Yeah.
Based upon the information you just gave, that's where the marching was.
Are you
to be.
listening, Florida? Are you,
You don't
listening,
let somebody,
Wisconsin?
you don't sit back and let somebody kick you in the face and then complain about getting kicked in the face when you knew before you got kicked in the face, you were gonna get kicked in the face, all right? And that's the fault of black people. They don't care about themselves, they don't care. I told kids, if you're being stopped and frisked by the police, it's because your parents don't vote. When you vote for a mayor, you get a police commissioner. And when your parents don't vote, they're telling you they don't care about you. That's why you're getting stopped and frisked. We don't get it. You're telling me all these people didn't vote in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Florida, and I'm sure in New York. But people are talking about, oh, this is how bad it's gonna be. Well, whose fault is it? We know who Trump is, but we do also know about white people. And don't think that you're in a post-racial era. We're not. Just because we had one black president. White people are still white people.
Yeah.
Let's remember that.
And remember the
They're
text.
still white people.
And remember the text they sent out after Trump won. You know, report to the plantation station. You'll be picking cotton tomorrow. This text went out nationwide.
It's emboldened so many people.
And this is why his presidency is going to be so scary. And we can say what we want about Trump. He'll pick a side, like it would decide or not. He'll pick a side. He picked a side on Israel, and that's one of the reasons that this election fell what it did. He picked a side on Ukraine and Russia. He picked a side. So he's going to pick a side. To your point, he got rid of DEI. That's the nonprofit thing you're talking about. And he's going to be taking the money from nonprofits and giving them to the folks. But he has a mandate. He said he was going to do Project 2025. He lied and said he didn't know, but all his people, his former staffers are working on it. He has a mandate. He was elected with a mandate, and he's going to do most of the horrible things that he said he's going to do in that mandate.
So what do we do?
Well,
Give me a solution. Graham,
I'm
you got a
glad you asked.
solution?
we have to organize ourselves. Okay. Brother Graham?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Solution?
First, organize ourselves so that we understand the people who are working with us and separate them from those who are working against us. That's critical. Second, we have to educate the young, because again, there are young people who don't know the story we were talking earlier. You know, they don't know who Henry Clark was. They don't know who Dr. Ben was. Our young people have to be educated, and the schools are not doing that job. We have to take it upon ourselves.
Well, that's over now because he's taking over the Department of Education.
But
And he's
basement
dismantling.
school is run in your basement for the children on the block. That's within
They're going
our
to give us
realm of
books
doing
they
that.
want us to read. We're
You
not
know?
going to have the real knowledge. We're going to have their false knowledge. Remember that guy in Florida, the governor, was saying that he wanted to make it seem like slavery was a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, he had things of that nature.
Right.
This is what they
Yeah.
want to teach us.
We have to teach our
Right.
children
Yeah,
ourselves.
so what
we
we
have to
gotta
learn
do-
and then teach.
No, but you're right. He's on it, right? I have a list of things, right? You got to start key conversations. That's for sure, because we're losing the regular person, the middle class, and the lower level. We're losing them, thinking what we want to give them, and not asking them what they want. We got to understand the positions of stakeholders and people in the community, and exactly what they want and why. You know, Trump, his evilness has resonated. You know,
Yeah.
saying about migrants and all of these, and Haitians and all of these different
People are agreeing with it.
LGBT. The first thing he did with LGBT, he saw what he did with the LGBT. If you were born a man, you're a man. If you're born a woman, you're a woman. So he made a choice. He stood on the side. With Democrats, we trying to please everyone. We can't please everyone. You know, I'm not picking the issue one way or the other on the issue, but he picks a side, and some people like that, regardless of his baggage. Hope they have that
We
same
also-
energy with Eric Adams.
Well, let me
We
run a,
also need attorneys to take these cases into the Supreme Court, one in particular, the right to vote for convicted felons.
Stop right there, Graham, because the Supreme Court, he's
You-
going to have 2 more
if
picks.
you have-
He's going to have 2 more
if you-
picks on the Supreme Court. He's going to run the court.
Right.
He's going to
But
run
the
the
thing
court.
is, you
For a
have a
century.
man with 34 felony convictions who's going to sit in the White House, but you have people that may have 1 felony conviction
That
and they
can't
cannot
vote.
vote.
You know, you're right. But listen to what Owen said. He said the schools, educate. He's taking over the schools. What you
Our
just
homes
said.
have to
So
become
he's
schools.
taking our tools. He's taking our tools, Graham. He's taking our tools and he's shutting them down. So our power is going to be, it's going to be. We got work to do. You know, we were getting comfortable with Obama. You know, we were getting comfortable thinking a black woman could be president in this racist country. But we're going to have to do a lot of work, Graham. I hear what you're saying. Supreme Court, the courts are our last line of defense. But
Well,
if he's stacking the court, what does that say?
Well, I don't
He's
know.
going to be a dictator.
I agree.
He want to be like Hitler.
We have 2 years to get the House. They have to work on the congressional seats. They lost.
They just lost today. That
Yeah,
news came in.
we lost the Congress and the Senate.
That news
So
just came in
they need
today.
to work on the congressional seats over these next 2 years because the senatorial seats, those are 6-year terms.
But now they got the
So-
power. They could do gerrymandering. So this is how they keep control.
That too.
This is how
Yeah.
they keep control. So it's bad all the way around. But
let
we're
me-
going to make it through. We're going to
let me-
make it through.
Let me run this one piece. Run 1A for me. Now, this is about 2 years ago. This all started about affirmative action and how we got stuck where we are now. This is Reverend Sharpton, 2 years ago.
Well, let me just be clear. I got into Harvard only because of affirmative action. I went to a school no one had ever heard of in Denver, Colorado, in a small suburb. I didn't go to Exeter or Andover. I didn't have college test prep. I just happened to be really nerdy and smart and have really good grades and good SAT scores. But someone came to Denver, Colorado to look for me. A Harvard recruiter flew to Denver, and I met up with her at the Village Inn restaurant and did a pre-interview to get to pull me into Harvard. I was pulled in. And the schools like Harvard and Yale that I got into affirmatively. And it was literally not saying we're going to take an unqualified person and put them in Harvard. We're going to take a very qualified person who we would never know existed and put them in Harvard. That's how I got there. That's how Ketanji got there. That's how Justice Jackson, I should say. Justice Jackson got there. It's how Clarence Thomas got there.
Well, I think that this is tantamount to sticking a dagger in our back. Because what they have said now is that it is unconstitutional to even consider race. And given the racial history of the country, let's not act like blacks are behind because there's something in our genes that made us behind. It was against the law for us to even read and write until 160 years ago. We were enslaved 246 years. So it is to completely throw to the wind the history of why we needed affirmative action in the first place. Secondly, let's remember that affirmative action was a conservative remedy that came out of the Nixon administration, written by Art Fletcher. So now you have a right-wing Trump court, because let's not forget Trump nominated a third of the sitting court, 9 members, 3 of which Trump put on there, that is saying, well, we'll protect your voting rights on Thursday, Friday, and Monday, and then we're going to pull the rug from under you in terms of you being able to have an even consideration. We're not even talking about a mandatory, a consideration of race to higher education. My last point that really is frightening to me is now in the private sector, corporations, many of whom made pledges around the George Floyd movement that didn't live up to them, can now say, well, we can't consider race in terms of contracts and employment and board members and what we do in the community, because the court now is saying it's unconstitutional. This is a tremendous setback that must be resisted by every corner, including the Department of Justice and including states, because what they have said is that it is unconstitutional to even consider race. And I think it is unimaginable not to consider race, given the history of this country and given the data that we still see in this country.
Well said, Reverend Sharpton, as always. As always.
See,
What does it better?
Yeah, everything is about race.
now, reason why I play this is Reverend Sharpton has called for a march on Washington on January 20th, 2025. Well, you know, because that's Martin Luther King Day. Now, you have to remember the Christ-like figure that I follow throughout my time at NAN has been Martin Luther King. Now, his theme, you judge a person by the content of his character, not by the color of his skin. Now, that's what black people should endorse as far as their judgment of people.
Who's going to teach that to the youth, to the college age and the teenagers?
We are teaching that to the youth.
We, the old men, we, the old women, we have to do it because
everything we've played is we're working on character, on your content of your.
We can't expect other people to develop the character of our children. That's fallacy and that's self-destruction.
We have to know it ourselves.
We have to know it and we have to teach it. That's a significant point.
We have to abide by it. Like we're saying, we don't take integrity and character when it comes to what we present on film, as far as these producers
or
are
popular
concerned,
music.
the music. So what do?
But now
we have to clean up our act.
We have a president that it's okay to be a narcissist. It's okay to be a racist. It's okay to be a hateful person. These are what the kids are looking up to.
That's what
leaders from across the world are hesitant to deal with this guy, and it's an embarrassment. And it's embarrassing. America embarrassed themselves.
Exactly.
We embarrassed ourselves. We have to embrace as a people that we are American, like it or not. A lot of us are born here, raised here.
Yeah.
A lot of us never set foot in Africa. So we have to come to grips with that.
That's right.
So to Graham's point, I agree with everything you ever said up until the end. But you have to go vote. It's contingent on everyone to vote. Even if you don't like any of the competitors that's running, you can write your own name in and vote for yourself. You can write your own friend, best friend, your neighbor, whoever you want, your favorite rapper, your favorite singer, but it's contingent on everyone to go vote. I think that's the first step people are committed to, and not just at the presidential elections. There's a lot of local level events that we need to be doing to strengthen our community and really get us to the grassroots things that we need.
What happened this time? We gave enough promotion about who Trump was about. Everybody, how could they not know what kind of person he was? He broadcast what he was going to do.
People like you who told the truth about Trump are not being heard in small town Idaho. And
everybody was telling the truth.
No,
I don't know that the media was
project.
They don't care.
I don't know that the media in small town Iowa or the media in dump-off Georgia was carrying the truth.
They don't care.
We in an urban milieu, we within New York City, because we have programs like this and because we have networks like this, we have the opportunity to tell certain truths that lay hidden and that are not being told in other places. The other thing is, again, the people who teach us. And I will say this again and again and again, whether we're talking about Dr. and Dr. Jeffries, Dr. and Dr. Dyson, the people who will teach us, they are not given the airtime, they're not given the microphone often enough. And even in some of our churches, they may grumble about paying $5,000 to fly in one of these speakers to speak to their congregation, but they spend $5,000 to charter a bus to go to Atlantic City. We got problems with that. The young people don't see the exemplars. They don't know often enough who, even someone like Letitia James, in 2024, you have young people who don't know who she is and the impact of what she's doing and the court cases. We have young people who don't know why Yusuf Salam is an example or should be an example to young people. You know, these are the people that should be cited so our children can emulate them and our children can do the right thing and move forward. These names are not mentioned in the classroom. And that's to our detriment. We have to do it.
I think it's basically the Willie Lynch syndrome, and black people didn't come out to vote for a black woman who they didn't think was black enough.
Well, the numbers show black men voted. They voted. Black men voted. They voted more for her than they did for him. Way
How about
more.
women?
Black women voted for her. That was almost 98% black women.
Well, who is
it was
this
white
that
women didn't vote for her.
white
A lot of
women.
white men did
She
not
did
vote
not get
for
the
her.
vote of a lot of white women
And
who may
of
talk the
course,
talk.
white men did not vote for her as
I
well.
think a lot of black people didn't vote for her because she was black.
A lot of black
No,
people didn't
more
vote,
more
period,
the numbers are
and
gonna
that
come
hurt
out,
us.
but yeah.
I think that's
yeah.
why they didn't vote,
Yeah,
Maybe.
we didn't vote. Now that's the thing too. A lot of them didn't vote. The numbers
because
show.
she was a black
The
woman.
numbers show
Some
we
people.
less than 20-something%
Yeah.
of voting. But now, you know, all them things you're saying, when you have the machine that is social media, you know, it's hard to tell a kid about education. Now, I feel education is the groundwork, is the foundation always.
Always.
But now you have these kids 17, 16 years old making these social media influencer videos and getting paid 15, 20,000, 100,000 a month. What can you tell a kid that? You can't tell them go to school and get education when they're making way more money every year. I mean, it's scary because there's a lot of false information out there.
Yeah.
You can use it to research. I see a lot of intelligent content out there. They're about to ban TikTok. TikTok is a very valuable tool. However, it's run by the Chinese, and they have access to all of our data. So now we're vulnerable to a foreign entity.
I was
Well,
impressed.
the Russians have been in here since 2015.
Well, they've invested in the internet. They've infiltrated the United States through the internet. But yesterday, I was very, very much impressed. The New York State Commission on Reparations, they had a meeting yesterday. It was held in Buffalo. And there were some young people who were magnificent and on target. You know, and that was part of what was enlightening to me, that tells me some of the work is being done. Our young people don't know who some of these young people are who spoke and addressed the conference, addressed the Reparations Commission. But we need to have that, and that also is available on public television for people at home. You can go online and you can look at New York State Commission on Reparations. You can watch some of the testimonies and some of the work that's being done. But again, this is not going to be advertised on Hip Hop FM. This is not going to be advertised in bebop rap. We have to make sure that we advertise it and pass the word to our children, that they can watch this beneficial program that will help them in the future and help them think about their children, which is something that a lot of young people under the age of 30, it's beyond their ken to think about the next generation. We have to put that in their brain. What you're doing, the education, the health, what you're doing is something you have to think about the impact on some of those not yet born. And as magnificent scholars like Dr. King would remind us, you know, nowadays, not a whole lot of people are challenging the college age and young people to tell them, think about your children, think about what's going to happen to your children. And that's why I was thoroughly impressed by the New York State hearings on reparations and some of the young people who spoke there last night.
Well, if you're young and you can get all the information through Google.
They can.
And then YouTube will show you everything.
It is available.
Google
It
is
is.
one thing, YouTube will show you everything. But to your point, we need the elders to even mentor these young people, because we
Yes,
need
we
the
do.
young leadership, but
Yes,
they
we
need
do.
to know the knowledge, because a lot of them are not studying the history. So they need the
Yeah.
wisdom of our elders to guide us, and it has to go hand in hand. So we have to make that bridge more prominent. To your point, what can we do? Because there's a big disconnect.
Yeah.
You know, she did not win any areas that Biden won. She did worse than every area. There's not one pocket in America that she did well in.
She's a woman.
No, okay, but we have to get
Some
into
of us held that against her.
who's going to be the next leader. So who we're cultivating to be next? Now, if we're not going to accept one of our own, we're trying to get our own in. That's why I can't be upset that much, because we tried to get a black woman in there. We didn't do it. Fine. We didn't do it this time. We'll do it sometime.
Look what
But,
they did with-
but who is next?
Look what they did to
Who
Hillary.
is next?
Look what they did to Hillary. That's
That
a
was
white
terrible.
woman.
If they do
Well,
it
that's
to
because
their
Obama
own,
came too quick. I always say this: Obama should have been maybe 4 to 8 years later.
well,
It's glad they gave him the job because they were in trouble.
we can't change the past.
Bush family had decimated the economy.
One of the things, the educational process, I come back to that again and again. We had, not that long ago, at NAN, Hazel Dukes was brought up on stage. There was a young woman, I'm guessing college age, who's Hazel Dukes? I say, wait, you know, that's the
What?
kind of who she was whispering, who's Hazel Dukes? She was college age, this young woman, and did not know who the woman was who fought in education, fought in housing, fought in finances to get her open through certain doors. But nobody had ever taught her
Is
who
it-
Hazel Dukes is.
You try mentioning Martin Luther King.
They just know it was a holiday. And I have a dream
imagine
speech.
it?
That's what they know.
Yeah.
You imagine that?
But everything, you can ask your phone, hey Siri, and Siri will tell you the answer to most of your questions. So there's no reason why. And then with this power of AI coming down, there's no reason why we shouldn't have that. Power of cryptocurrencies is going up some more. Everyone should invest in that. You get it right off your Cash App. It's very small investment. And these are the things we need to empower our community. Because they'll come get you. They'll come get you.
That's a scam.
No matter how much money you got, they'll come get you.
Well,
Isn't that a
Elon
scam?
Musk just made several $1 billion through cryptocurrency
$26
overnight.
billion. He made-
Overnight.
No, after the election, they made
Yeah.
$26 billion.
Yeah.
And that's part of what
$26 billion when Trump won.
he knows
And
how
he's
to
not
play
the only
game.
billionaire. Gates and Warren Buffett is in that group too.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
I
have
saw that list.
we have black scholars and economists, both in the African continent and the United States, who can provide us with valid alternatives. And even within the National Action Network, as quiet as it's kept on Saturday morning, we have a couple of millionaires who are sitting in that room who are not necessarily investing in the things that we need. They're not listening to the scholars who can tell them, listen, instead of buying your 10th house or instead of buying your 5th car, perhaps you should be putting a couple $100,000 in this. That's the kind of
Into
advice
what?
and that's the kind
What do
of
we
leadership
have
we need.
that they can invest in?
That's part of what
What
you
do we
need
have?
there. We have real estate, we have education, we have science. There are things out there. If you have $1 million to invest,
We're still
there are
suffering
people-
from the Willie Lynch syndrome.
in some ways we are.
We're
In
still
some ways
ganging
we-
up on each
Not
other.
only that, but tied in with that is the old story about the white man's eyes is colder. If a white guy says buy ABC stock, a lot of us would just go buy ABC. If a black man says buy ABC stock, we all want to know, why isn't it BC stock? Why isn't it CA? We do not give the fidelity and the allegiance, the respect to the scholars in our black community that we should. And that's part of what holds us back. Not just young people, but some old folks like us.
Well, we're caught
are
up
held
in
back.
images, our cell phones, our social media apps. Again, kids are not even watching TV anymore. They're watching their phones 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So the flood of information, how we used to reach them, you have to be on these platforms. Our elders are not on these platforms. I'm able to do over at Kennedy Center senior technology classes. I help out there, teach seniors how to do text and all of these things on your phone to make them more comfortable on their phone because they don't know how to use it. They haven't been using it. We didn't grow up with this stuff, so I understand. So I try to bridge this gap in that manner.
We need that
to
in
do
every
that.
senior
Let's
center.
give
But we need more of that. We need more
Let's
of
give the address of Kennedy Center.
It's
I'd like to
134th,
go there.
5th Street, across from Harlem
that.
Hospital.
134th. Yep.
Across from
134.
Harlem Hospital, on the side of the Harlem Hospital. And that's valuable.
That's
There are other
interesting.
senior centers that are doing some of that, and we need to bring some of the scholars in to do some of the teaching. That is necessary.
So you
Well,
keep
we're gonna
saying
start
teaching,
doing that.
but when people are hungry, they're not thinking about learning. And then, I'm part of a fresh produce program. When we set up this fresh produce, the line is down the block around the corner. People are waiting an hour before they could get the food, an hour and a half. People are not going to wait that long and stand in that long line unless there's a need. So when you say all of these things, right, but when your stomach is rumbling, nobody care about reading a book, nobody care about the history, they care about where their next meal coming from. They care about where they're going to pay their rent, how they going to pay their rent next month, how their kids is going to have the things they need. So these are the reasons why we're losing. Because then we talk with that hate. When your stomach is hungry, you have a hateful mind, a hateful mindset.
Yeah.
You want to, you don't care about nobody. I'm not saying you hate everybody. It's just that you want to eat. You have an animosity built in you, a resentment, and you want to fight against the powers that be. That's why it's always F the police and this and all these negative things. We're on top of the music, the energy of your feet and your body and your mind, and then all of that is going to replicate to a man that we have in the presidency now.
Let me mention a 2-for-1, 145th Street and Malcolm X Boulevard, the National Action Network. And on the corner, one doorway away from National Action Network, we have a West African group that consistently does food giveaway programs to those who are hungry and needy. To somebody who's at home, if they want to come up to 145th Street and Malcolm X Boulevard, on Saturdays we're there. During the week also, the food giveaway program We're talking about two programs that serve our community that are right next to each other, and there's no excuse because there are people who are hungry and they can come here. They may have to stand online for 45 minutes, but they'll get the
But
food
that's
and
when
go
you
next door and get
engage
the
them
knowledge.
on their line before they pick up their bag and groceries and fresh produce. You have a piece of paper, get their name, their address, their name, phone number, email to engage them. Get their social media
who's on
handle.
these
This
lines?
is how you engage them,
People who are
and then you
hungry.
give them the information you need them to have.
But who's on the line?
Seniors on limited income, people who are hungry, a house that might have 2 or 3
Are there
unemployed
any
people.
Harlemites on the line?
Yes, I think most of them are Harlem. From the people that I've spoken to, I
People
don't.
come
Most of
across
them
that
are
I don't
bridge.
see. Yes, there's no contradiction between being African and being Harlemite. You know,
Oh, yes, there is.
that's another argument that we'll
There
get
you
into,
go.
Brother
There you
That's
go.
a
Gilchrist.
big
But
difference.
Y'all want to go down a rabbit
That's
hole.
There are
no,
plenty-
that's a big
There are plenty of
difference.
Africans
Come
who
on.
are Harlemites, and there are plenty of Harlemites who are
all
Africans.
foreigners taught
If we want to
about
move
us
forward, I'm
as
talking about people who are hungry
all
online,
foreigners.
right
I don't
next
care
to
what
our
color
office.
they are. They come here with the image of us
Them is
being
we is us.
not taking advantage of what America has to offer.
That's
When you
exactly
say
right.
That's
them-
why they come here.
when you
Look
say
at
they do this,
why
them
don't
is
you
we
have
is
$1
us.
million?
That's right.
Don't you understand what America's about? And they come in and show us up because they work harder. They don't steal.
Well, we have
And
to.
they're not as mad as white people as we are.
We have to not
We
fall
have a
prey to
reason to-
that Willie Lynch
but
syndrome
so
about
what I'm
dividing
saying, the
ourselves
Willie-
up.
The Willie Lynch syndrome reigns supreme.
And we shouldn't have it on
And
this
we got to
stage in this
understand the
program.
Willie Lynch syndrome. We got to understand what our problem is. That's what I want to emphasize today. And we need to march. We're going to march January 20th
I'll be there.
in Washington, D.C.
Thousands and thousands of
you
us.
know, and I'll have more to say about that, because we need to show that we are still sane and we're still going to survive this. We survived Trump first 4 years, but this is going to be playtime.
But it's okay to march, but we need a plan of action or call to action after. We need to have committees set up to watch every sector of this administration. Education, safety. He wants to give police officers immunity. We're going to be in trouble. It's going to be a long fight these long 4 years. He's going to dismantle a lot of the rights that we've had and built up.
How many years did you spend in the belly of the beast? I mean, with National Action Network.
5 years. 5 years.
5
2018,
years. So you should be
2023.
able to come up with some good programs.
Absolutely, I can. I
So
can
why
definitely
would
do
we
that.
present them here?
Then we talk about people being hungry. We talk about people trying to pay their
Okay.
bills. We talk about people having these things. Yes, if I could put my energy into that and be compensated for it, great. Or I could put my energy into that and give it to the people that's going to pay attention to it. Because a lot of times you'll put your energy and efforts into things and people won't take it and go with it and use it. They're not going to utilize it. So then, it's not like I wasted the time because I built it, but you got people to be on board with you and take that journey with you.
The people who are doing the right thing that we should support. There's a food giveaway, November 22nd at Cordell Clear,
Cordell.
one of our New York State senators.
What day?
She has been at the center of that and working to address people where the need is. We have people like Dawn Jones who've been working with the Health Matters in Harlem group, and they're doing a program to distribute food to those who are hungry. Yeah, we have people who are doing the right thing. November 17th, we have a Harvest Tea program by the New Amsterdam Musical Association. We have people who are doing the right thing who don't get enough support. This is the good news that I want to talk about. Instead of some of those ugly stories that are the headlines, I want to talk about this good news because the names that I have mentioned, there are 100 more whose names I don't know who are doing the work that we should be bringing their names to the public, because some of the public don't know that Mrs. Phillips down the block is the one who's doing something to help the teenagers, or they don't know that Mr. Jones has been hiring somebody 1 day a week so that we can have more wealth in our community. There are people doing the right thing, and we need to laud them. We need to publicize them, and certainly in their own way. We have people like you, we have people like Graham, we have people like you. We have people who are doing the right thing, and they need to be the headlines. There's some ugly stuff out there, but I don't want to spend time talking about what's on the bottom of your shoe.
Well,
No.
I'm going to spend some time on presenting what kind of nonsense we're going to have to put up with. Would you run that next item? What is it, 2? Elon,
Oh, Lord.
I want you to get an
The
idea.
illegal alien Elon Musk
I
snuck
want
into
you
this
to get
country.
and he's from South Africa.
He snuck
Mind
into
you.
this country illegally, then went to Canada to try to get his papers. people don't talk about. He buys enough silence.
We got a gang. Trump's mafia.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's exactly
His
what
billionaire
it is.
mafia.
Okay, we're following more breaking Trump transition news at this hour. President-elect Trump tapping Tesla CEO Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to lead a, quote, Department of Government Efficiency. He's also confirmed just moments ago what we would have been reporting, that he will name South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem to be Secretary of Homeland Security. NBC's Vaughn Hillier joins us tonight now with the latest on all this. Vaughn, obviously the big news right now that just happened moments ago, Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy. What do we know about this new government agency, and how will it work?
Exactly. A lot has developed since the start of the show, Tom. For Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, this idea of the Department of Government Efficiency, number one, exactly how is it created? What does it actually look like? Is there a budget and a staff behind it? These details are very unclear. What I can tell you, though, is that Elon Musk, over the course of the last week, has been a consistent presence at Mar-a-Lago ever since Donald Trump's election. But even before Election Day, Elon Musk had been on the campaign trail on behalf of Donald Trump. And Elon Musk had talked about the fact that the U.S. annual federal budget is about $6 trillion. And he had been telling crowds that he would be able to cut $2 trillion out of the federal budget, which would be slashing it by 1/3 annually. And Donald Trump himself had echoed this on the campaign trail, saying that he would put Elon Musk in charge of government efficiency and bring him in his administration to do just that. And now, 1 week after his election, he is now promising to go forward with that campaign promise. And now when we're talking about $2 trillion out of the federal budget, we're talking about staggering numbers that Elon Musk, even himself, admitted would be causing hardships for Americans on the outset, but that it would be financially beneficial for the country in the long term. Of course, we're talking about the federal budget, you're talking about defense spending, immigration spending, you're talking about Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. There's no details that have been provided here at this time, but Donald Trump suggesting that the two men, Ramaswamy and Musk, will have until mid-2026 to figure this out and bring efficiency to the federal government. Again, very little details of it as to exactly what that means at this point in time.
You know, Vaughn, do you think, and I know you would be speculating here, but do you think Elon Musk and Vivek maybe are, I don't know if the word is disappointed, right? But they were such staunch supporters of President-elect Trump, and I know, you know, Elon Musk spoke about this agency, this is a big thing for him. But for Vivek, I mean, weren't there other ideas and plans for him?
That was the question mark as to where Vivek Ramaswamy would potentially go. But though he was also in discussion as potentially an appointment to fill J.D. Vance's Ohio U.S. Senate seat. He's Ohio a resident himself. And so I think for Vivek Ramaswamy to actually be tied to the world's richest man, Elon Musk, it's not necessarily a bad gig depending on exactly where it goes and how long of a leash that they have. But again, so much of the budget is going to also rely on lawmakers and the Republican majorities on Capitol Hill to sign off on said budget. So this is going to be complicated, an intense few months I think we should expect in Washington, D.C.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
It is no coincidence that the DOGE, D-O-G-E, Department of Government Efficiency, bears the same name as the DOGE, D-O-G-E, currency that Elon Musk has put billions of his dollars into. The same name for both items. That is no coincidence, and that's something a few of our people should dwell upon and how that affects us. His private corporation is DOGE, his government corporation is also DOGE. D-O-G-E.
All right. Graham, I know you got to go soon. So what do you think about Elon Musk and the scam that he's running down on us? I mean,
Well, he's a South African.
yeah.
He's raised under that old apartheid system,
Yeah.
his family, and that speaks for itself. The Doge coin is worth 38.9 cents. That's the value of a Doge coin. And the price of that coin jumped over the last week. But comparatively speaking, Bitcoin went from 69,000 to 93,000 a coin in the last week.
Told you.
So if you want to jump in that market, you missed the boat.
It's not too late. It's not too late.
And it's going to go, it'll go to 100,000.
The Bitcoin is going to go
It
to $1
went from-
million a coin.
$1 million?
It's going to go
1 to 2 million a coin.
But remember,
No less than 500,000.
anything that's a 1 and a 0 as digital, it can be
Wiped out
it
in
can
a
be
minute.
dealt with. It can be wiped out. Another thing, keep track of, and they're not talking about this because they're not giving you any news. You don't get news anymore. You get these loops, hourly loops. They're not giving you any information on the BRIC countries. They had a conference week before last. There were 38, I believe it was 38 countries in the BRIC. It used to be Brazil, Russia, India, and China. There are now 38 countries in the BRIC. They are pressing the International Monetary Fund to remove the US dollar.
Yes.
What?
As the, yeah, you're not hearing this on ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN. They're pushing to have the US dollar removed as the reserve currency for international trade.
Economically, they're not respecting the U.S. anymore.
No, the sanctions
Well,
are working, and they're trying to
The
break away
US
from
has been abusing people financially for a
Yes,
long time.
that's true,
It's what
that
we
too.
do. That's what capitalists do. But they've stated, and it's true, the gold is not there to back all the trillions and trillions of paper dollars they've been putting out.
Right.
And Tillerson went for a deal in Russia before he hooked up with Trump during the first term. And they were to be building, Exxon was to build some oil refineries for Russia. China intervened and said to Putin, why are you dealing with them? You know the US dollar has been screwing us for years. They said, we'll build it. So now China and Russia do business trading oil and everything, and they don't use the US dollar. The small countries are coming for the United States. So brace yourselves. Things are gonna change in the next year economically.
He's right.
And it has nothing to do with Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. This is what is going on financially around the globe. I'll see you next week.
Thank
Later,
you, Brother
Graham.
Graham.
Thank you.
Thank you. A scholar, again, we need to use brains like his and set up our own classrooms. We should be teaching our
That's
children
what we're doing
instead
here.
of giving our children over to other people who don't have our interests at heart.
So for your next appearance, you dig up a lot of information
Yeah.
and come here with programs.
I work on it every week.
That's the problem.
I
It's
mean,
time to do the
this
work.
is all we got.
Everybody don't want to work. Not saying Mr. Owen. Mr. Owen works, but you know, a lot of people don't want to put the work in. They don't know what that is. They get degrees, then they just want to lay back and try to enjoy life, but they forget about the people that are struggling. That's
So we have to
underserved.
show them the way.
In
gotta
some
show 'em the
ways,
way.
sometimes we do. Yes.
All right.
Sometimes-
Between this and Nan, I mean,
I'm
come
telling you,
on.
you are both scholars whom I respect, and we know a
Come
few
on.
others.
We've got the
And
resources.
the children
We've
need
got
to
the
hear what you say.
organization. So we know what's wrong. So we've got to come up with. I haven't been here 27 years for nothing.
That's right.
I mean, since they failed me and didn't pick Kamala, I'm upset. I'm disappointed in God, really.
I'm
Don't
upset,
ever say
but
that. Don't ever say that.
I'm being
no.
truthful.
I use my
no, no.
disappointment
I'm
as fuel.
No, no, he might strike you for that. Don't say that.
Hey, no,
Don't
no,
never
he
be
already
disappointed
told me
in
what
God.
to do.
You know, you
It
woke up
just-
this
it's
morning,
just
you
a
got through a
test.
day.
It's
A
just a
test.
test.
You know, he's
One
making
more
us
test.
strong. Again, we
Hey,
was
just
lazy.
do
We
a-
needed a slap
do
in the
another
face.
thing in
We
my
needed
way.
this slap in the face. We're
I'm
going to
83,
persevere.
I can take it.
We're going to overcome. We're going to be strong.
Between Lot and Job, just another test.
I said I'm
Biblically,
83, I can take it.
Yeah, I know that's right.
biblically speaking.
I survived this long.
Yeah.
Now there's time to really get to work.
And
Because we got to build up from the past.
I hope some
played
young
the
people
first
are listening
speech
to what
with
you're
Martin,
saying.
with Malcolm, how we felt back there in the 60s. But what did we do in the 60s? We changed, but America was America then. They had some standards, some.
We have to fight in the modern way, in 2024 methods.
I mean,
That's what
I'm
we have
proud
to
to
do.
be an American. I ain't got no place to go. I see all the Africans that come in here
All over the world, people
and
come
laughing at us. All foreigners laugh at us.
Well, I know some foreigners
And they don't
who,
understand the struggle
who
that
hold
we've been
America
through.
in great esteem. You know, so I know people who literally would give their lives for their children to live here in the United States and get an education, so that there are foreigners who hold America in the United States of America in high
what
esteem.
about the
So I don't condemn
Americans?
them, because ultimately I was one of them. So I can't condemn, and I know some of them who still they value and they hold in high esteem what we can and what we have done.
What do you think our problem is then?
There are people who pit us against each other. And there are people who say there are
That's
three
what I'm-
black men here who have the power to destroy each other. Meanwhile, we're saying we have three black men here who have the power to uplift each other. But some folks would just
We
as
know-
soon arm us
We
and
know
have
what
us
the
attack
deal
each other.
is. I just can't understand how all these people didn't come out. I mean, with what Trump presented us, I'm just so disappointed, and we as a people.
Yes, I
And
am
we
as well.
couldn't pay enough attention to this to make sure this woman got in. I don't understand. There should have been marches to the poll.
We got
I
lazy
mean,
and gullible.
We
Well,
did
listen,
the,
I'm gonna say
I
this.
mean, she did the best job she could. For the circumstances, for the 3 months she had, I'm so proud of
They
her.
didn't groom her enough before that, but let me say
But
this.
she
They didn't
did
groom
the
her enough.
best
They gave her the
that
job
she
of
could
being
do.
a czar for the immigrant, and the border, and she never did anything. She word,
can-
word leaking out. She didn't want to take
Have
it.
we ever had a
They didn't-
president
they
who
didn't
came
do-
on
they
in
didn't
90
do-
days?
They didn't do right by her, but I'm just saying they didn't do right by her building up to that point. But what I'm just saying is this: what we going to do? People are frustrated with housing, with gas, those that drive, with food. People want a cost of living. They want a decent cost of living, and they can't get it. They rather have a bigot, a fascist, a racist in office, someone in their mind, he's a successful businessman, regardless of all his bankruptcies and failed
That's what they
ventures.
said in
He
1917.
keeps saying he's successful. They believe it.
Mhm.
It's perception, it's reality.
Right.
So this is who they voted for the economy to build a better way for life for them. Now let's see if it comes true. We already know what he did the first time. He gave his rich buddies the tax breaks. So we'll see what he does this time. But we have to be on guard. We're gonna have to work. Not you guys. You guys, our elders.
do
So
what we
leave it
do.
to us. Let's give us our guidance and wisdom. And let us work. But we have to do a better job cultivating some young people and getting them in position
Yes.
so that this doesn't
yes,
happen again.
Yes.
I think it's getting so amongst black people is every man for himself.
That's what we've been taught on this side of the Atlantic, which is completely
Every man for
antithetical
himself.
to
That's
the
how we
African
do.
concept.
That's how we do.
You know,
And
Especially
that's
here.
what happened.
That's what happened.
that's been beaten into
Until
our heads,
we
literally
learn
whipped into
to-
our backs.
That
That-
we're all family.
We have to.
I mean, it's no doubt. See what can happen? It's amazing. Really.
if this is what
Greed
it
and
takes.
selfishness reign supreme. And that's it.
Let's make that a past tense statement. It did.
Thank you.
It's over. It
What's she
did.
say?
It's over.
She says, "Oh,
It can't be over.
Greed and selfishness
she
did
said,
reign supreme.
wrap up."
The-
She said,
The
"Wrap
God
up."
in me loves the God in you.
That's right.
Stay tuned for more of the Gilchrist experience.
Yeah, come back next week. Get a little
We
bit
got
more information.
47 on here.
I look so big on camera. Goodness gracious. I got
Is that
layers
all?
on.
Who taught you to hate the color of your skin? Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you?
Most of us blacks, or Negroes as he called us, really thought we were free without being aware that in our subconscious, all those chains we thought had been struck off were still there. And there were many ways where what really motivated us was our desire to be loved by the white man. Malcolm,